Before we get started with our talk tonight, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're gathered tonight and all of our elders past and present. This particular talk series will explore the parallels and intersections of modern science with traditional Indigenous methodologies of caring for country. As the trends of upcycling, recycling and repurposing sweep our nation, we consider the role of traditional Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander practices of sustainability. Are customary methods relevant in the 20th century, or as humans have we evolved past the traditional methods? Tonight, our speaker is the lovely Dale Chapman. Dale is an Indigenous woman born in Dirranbandi in southwest Queensland, Cooma tribal lands, and a fully qualified chef residing on the Sunshine Coast since 1976. Dale has been working in the food industry for over 30 years, exploring everything from fine French cuisine to contemporary Australian dishes. With vastly varied experience, Dale finds her passion in Australian bush tucker and widely promotes its use through catering, workshops and bush tucker seminars. In 2013, Dale was invited to the Asia Pacific Ego Global Conference presenting on Indigenous cultural tourism and her gourmet range of bush foods operating under Coolaman Food Creations, which highly sought after and won a prestigious bronze medal at the Sydney Royal Food Show in 2012. Dale considers traditional food to be an effective weapon in the fight against heart disease and diabetes, and she continues to raise the profile of traditional foods, evoking connection to country and customary methods. So can we please all make Dale welcome?
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. I usually don't need a mic, but we might tonight with the wind and everything. Thank you very much. I'll acknowledge the Turrbal Yagara people and thank them also for this wonderful country that we're on tonight. As Kayla said, I'm an Aboriginal woman from Dirranbandi. And as you know, well, you may not know, but believe it or not, I was born in 1962. And so I wasn't born a citizen of this country. So it wasn't until 1967 when they had the referendum and Aboriginal people then became citizens of the land. And I find that very astonishing. Even when I mention it, say it out loud, I think, oh my God. So it was only 53 years ago, you know. So I think in that time, Aboriginal culture, its peoples have all come quite a long way. When we're talking about sustainability, I guess, it seems to be the catch cry of today's society. I see sustainability as living with one in harmony with the land and its peoples and its teachings, and looking at how we can make a better place, I guess, for the rest of us as our young people come up through the ranks and more babies are born, etc. So that's how I see sustainability. How can we help Aboriginal Australia and non-Aboriginal Australia work together to produce a wonderful land and country that we're on today? So for me, I guess Aboriginal people have been practicing sustainability for centuries, and it's proven when we go out on country and you start listening to the stories and all of the spirituality and the teachings and the song lines and looking at all the artworks and things like that. So we have been doing it for that long, and it's been a turnaround, I think, now. For 15 odd years I've been producing bush tucker products and talking to people. So it's just been recently that we're kind of got this urge, this energy out there to start doing more with bush foods, you know, and understanding where it all comes from. So that's great. From when I go out on country with the elders, traditional elders and stuff, it's all about that they want to share this knowledge, they want to share their spirituality with people, and it's not really about the colour of our skin, it's to do with our spirit, our heart, and how we perceive what we're doing on country. So I'm just going to try to answer a couple of the questions girls gave me. Over the last, well, I can say 15 years, I've been introduced to a lot of people from all different socio-economic backgrounds, all different religious backgrounds, etc. I've travelled overseas, and I've had the privilege of working with a lot of Indigenous people overseas as well. And what I've found is that there's so many of us out there all willing to help and support, and we just got to open up our arms and embrace people. And over the last probably 5 years, I've been working towards a team of Aboriginal people who are gathered up to create a supply chain, because we've got so much wonderful product. We can just see just the tip of the iceberg right here. Of bush foods that's gathered, and we're only just starting to kind of get on top of things now. Aboriginal Australia needs to own its own bush food chain, and the idea is for what we're doing at the moment is we've gathered a whole heap of people from every state and territory, all women, guys, so sorry. But the women have gathered together. They've been instrumental in starting their own businesses over the last 25, 30 years. And so those women have come together to look at the supply chain. So when we look at sustainability, you take a bush tomato. Where is that bush tomato? A bush tomato. I've got it here somewhere. Here it is. So that's a bush tomato, comes from Central Desert, Salarum Central. There's around about 5, 6 different varieties. A couple of them are poisonous. So for a start, I let them go and gather it. You know, I don't want to go out and get it. So these women go out, and they've been propagating this little thing for centuries. Their mothers did it before them, their mothers did it before them. So that's why we still have it here today. It's a tiny little tomato. It grows on a little spiky bush, and mainly women and children, because you have to have little fingers to get in there and get it out. So it's mainly a women's plant. It's 5 times higher than a vitamin C than an orange. So it's high in magnesium. I have people who just eat it like lollies and get it in. But this one here, as a bush tucker producer of value-added products like my jams and sauces and relishes and things, if I don't have that, I can't produce my relish. I can't make my dukkha. So that's the reason why us ladies have all got together to produce a supply chain across the nation. And the other thing is looking at those practices, those spirituality, those connection to country that the women have when it comes to this little tomato. Pass him around. It's caramel tamarello in flavour, and it's very strong. And in some communities you'll find that it's quite sweet because the rainfall's been quite obvious in that community, but in other communities it's bitter. And you need to pop it into salted water, and takes the bitterness, draws it out. But like I say, Aboriginal women, when they go out and they've taken their kids, they have to cooey at each other. Because there's camels, there's snakes, there's all sorts of things, wild emus. Like, they're all out there going to try and attack them. So you need to go collecting with others and cooey out to each other. Yeah, I'm okay, I'm okay. So what seems to be the issue is, has anyone been to Central Desert? Out to Uluru, Alice Springs? Alice is, yep. So you know how red that dirt is, and it's just like sand, isn't it? So fine. So when the tomato is gathered, it's full of tiny little bits of red dirt. So it's got to be collected, then it's got to be washed, then it's got to be dried underneath the desert sun. And well, they don't like to call it desert. It's an arid area, and they then have to bucket it up and send it off to my friend Raylene in Alice Springs. And the women actually come out of the hills carrying these buckets and have all these tomatoes, and it's Raylene feels that she just has to take it, you know, she has to buy it from them. So what that's one of the things we're doing now, is forming this group together so that we have the capability to purchase those products, and then they can actually go back and keep sustaining it, keep growing it. The women only gather what they need, so if we say we want half a tonne, they'll go grab half a tonne and leave the rest. Yeah, so that's how it was sustained. Is that and things were propagated. So when you're out on country, you're eating that fruit. You're getting energised. You're getting nutrition and everything. You're getting exercise. You're walking around, you know. So and that little seed could be planted back into the ground, and up comes it for next year. So the bush tomato is a very sought after product. We sell more overseas than what we do in our own country here. Yeah. The second one that comes over there is the wattle. So the acacias, there's heaps of them, 1,400 varieties of acacias. This one is one from Central Desert. I forget its Latin name, I'm not very good with the Latin. But this also comes from those particular women. So for them, they have to go out, and generally you have to shake the tree and get all the pods to fall down, and then you gather. So we've had to invent new ways to get that. So we have a vacuum cleaner basically that goes, gets all the pods off, and then we're able to go, oh well, there's the seed, there's this, and all these new inventions, because it makes the life easier. Because some of our ladies have got babies carrying around on them, you know, they might be elderly, so they don't want to be bent down and getting, you know. So we need to look at all different ways on how to sustain that country, and they only pick what they need. You always leave pods on so that next lot you've got more for next year. And if the community out there, every now and again, you don't get tomatoes and you won't get wattle seed. Wattle seed has a 10-year shelf life. So we need to get it as much as we can so that we can have it for years to come as well. Because we've all changed. How many fancy apples have we got out there, and how many lovely looking pears, you know, all because we think that's the perfect apple or that's the perfect pear. So we need to start looking at how we're going to help Aboriginal people get this onto the table. These are whole roasted, so have a munch. You'll taste that they're sort of coffee, nutty sort of flavour. They're just delicious. Interrupt me anytime too with any questions. Yeah, so you would grind that up, and I've got a picture. Where's my pictures? I'm here somewhere. I went out to Uluru just recently, and see you sitting on them? No. Oh, here they are. So I went out to Uluru about 2.5 weeks or something ago to get my product into the galleries and IGA out there, which they now have out there, which is great. But one of the things was when I went around the rock, because you can't go to Uluru and not do the rock, yeah? So off we went. There's a little walking, it took a sign there of the walking space, and as you go around Uluru, you'll find that there's sensitive areas where you're not allowed to take photographs. And if you do, then we ask that you delete them, you know, from your camera. But there's a little place where we went. It's 12 kilometres, takes 4 hours, but it was beautiful. And I think I have about 3,500 photos of the rock, because you just can't stop taking photos. It's just so beautiful. Sunset, sunrise, you know. Anytime during the day, it's just beautiful. And my sister works out there, so from her back veranda, you look across and you see the rock. It's just beautiful. So that's when you go there, it's not just a big red rock. When you go, there's art galleries, there's a kids' playground, there's a place for men's business, there's a bush tucker area, there's a women's birthing space. So when you walk around, you actually are, you know, in a community, in a very spiritual place, and lots of things. That's why they ask you not to take photos of certain areas because of the spirits. So here's some pictures of some artworks. And I'll get back to the grinding rock when I find it. There's a big kitchen there. So when, not that one. When you go, there's a women's place where they used to do all the grinding of the tucker. And right outside, it's very interesting, because right outside is a few little trees. So you've got your desert currajong, you've got your wattle seeds and your bush tomatoes and things all growing around that particular space.
What does the desert currajong produce that you can eat?
It produces a seed, and the seed is, you have to take it through a few levels. So it's beautiful. It's yellow, but you don't eat that one. So you have to roast it. So once you roast it, it comes out of the pods, and then there's like a little furry bit on it, and you have to get rid of the fur, and then you get this beautiful, like it's just gorgeous, bright yellow. And then I've done is roasted some up here. So I've just put them on the fire in a pan, roast them up. When you eat it, you can chew on one of these cooked ones. Tastes like coffee. So I actually, because I'm chefy and I like to do all these mod things, what I do with it is grind it up, and I'll put it on bread rolls, like new buns. I put it in coffee. It's low GI. It's really yummy. A lot of people don't know about that one, because that's one of the things that the women are looking at having produced in, you know, tonnage sort of thing. And the idea is to work with Aboriginal communities across Australia so that we're able to build capacity within those communities, and actually look at there was trading going on, wasn't there? You know, like when all the festivals happened, we traded. So, you know, Yidaki or didgeridoo is from up north in Territory, and it was traded to come down here because we didn't have termites, so you didn't have Yidaki here. So all these things were traded. Ochre from my country, red ochre, was traded with other people, ochre, boomerangs, clapsticks, whatever, yeah? So you'll find that all these things were traded. And that's what we're doing with our seed at the moment. So different seeds we're getting from South Australia, we're bringing it down to Queensland, and we're propagating it to see how it's going to run, how it's going to go. Because if we get, you know, 5 tonne ordered of some product and we can't fulfil our contract, that's not a good look. So we need to have product growing elsewhere as well, not just where it's endemic, I guess.
Has male casuarina ever been looked at for possible food?
Which one?
Like the casuarinas.
Oh, the
And then the male ones, when they come down with their little brown seeds ready to fertilise the female.
I don't know. We'll have to have a look.
Because they're so abundant.
I know.
My trees just
Yeah.
covered in these hanging seeds.
Yeah.
I just wondered.
Yeah, I've never had it. Have you eaten it? No.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a bit scared about it.
A lot of things we have to have tested, because it's like the currajong there. If we didn't realise that it had to be roasted, you know, and that information's been passed on. Otherwise we wouldn't know about it, would we? We'd all just be eating it. It's like this one, the Warangal Greens. So I got this over at the university. I lecture over there. We've written a course on bush food at the University of Queensland, St Lucia, and we put in a bush tucker garden last year actually, and it's growing crazy. And these are the Warangal Greens. So Warangal Greens is a native spinach. They have it in New Zealand, they have it in France, they have it, and it's only in France because Napoleon's mob took it back over there and started to grow it. But it's actually, it's got, oh God, what's it called? Yes, but I'm trying to think of the poison that's in it. It's a sapien or something, isn't it? Which one? Oxalic acid, there you go. So that one there, what you have to do with is blanch it in water for 3 minutes. And it's all been tested through the food technology people. There's a whole heap of paperwork on it. So you'll actually see sometimes, oh yeah, you can eat it fresh. No, you can't. I don't recommend you do. If it's been in the sun, where there's been a lot of sun, like directly on the beach, it'll have a high fault. Yeah, that thing. It'll have a lot of acid in it. And it can make you sick if you eat it fresh. But where there's been, the research that's been done on it is that if it's been covered and less sunlight, it's less of the acids in there. But I still recommend you cook it, yeah? So we put in 850 seeds. We had I think about 550 came up. So we're about to now launch this into a fresh line produce. So it has a 16-day shelf life. So it has to go into different places, but you need to actually have a lot of information out there about it. So cook it, and then you you refresh it in water. I put it into salads. I put it in spinach pies. I make pesto out of it. I throw it to a damper or a biscuit or a scone. So you can do lots of things, but just treat it like spinach, basically. Yeah.
So is it just grown like spinach?
Took some Warangal Greens back to England.
Yes.
And it was the first seed that went into the Kew Gardens.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Native plant that went into the Kew Gardens.
Yep. Because it's very good for vitamin C and stuff as well, wasn't it? Scurvy. Yeah. And that's why they saw Aboriginal people, using it. And then they actually did watch them process it. But I forget which one it is. Is it the cycad or something that they had where they didn't finish watching them go all the way through with it, and they killed themselves because they just saw them picking it but didn't watch them treat the product. So yeah, you have to kind of get into all of that.
The green bit, does that just grow like it?
Yeah.
On a bush?
No, it just grows. It loves wet feet, so anywhere where it's moist area, it'll just take off. I grow it in pots, so we've got rows and rows of it on a property up in Hervey Bay. We did the experiment at Scrub Hill, the Aboriginal ground at Scrub Hill, and that's how we know so much about it. You don't go any bigger than your hand, probably my hand because it's little. But yeah, no bigger than that for a leaf. You want to just get it that sort of palm size, really. Any bigger and it's a bit stringy and it's a bit too toxic. There's a few other things that we're growing as well. This one here is a curry myrtle. Have you heard of curry myrtle? It's pretty rare, really. Not a lot of people have this one. But you know how you get that curry leaf from the Indian one? It's I prefer this one. The other one I think is so strong, but
Is that the grey one?
no, that's a saltbush. Yeah, that's a saltbush. This one is the curry myrtle. So you can pass that around. Pull off a leaf and have a sniff.
Is it a tree?
Yeah, it's sort of it grows quite spindly. A bit different to the lemon myrtle, a backhausia. So we all know lemon myrtle, yeah. So a lot of our plants and things medicinal. They're still used for medicines. So a lot of this, like I use this for a cup of tea. So it's calming, sedative, antibacterial, antifungal. You can boil it up and put it in a spray can and just in a spray bottle, not a can, spray bottle, and spray your benches and toilets and all sorts of stuff, and it'll keep away the germs. Yeah, it's very, very good. You can, if you're sick, pop it in a big thing of hot water, put a towel over it and inhale, because it'll open up all the airways. It's beautiful. To me, it's like a big lemonade tree. I just love this. And you just squish him and all the natural oils and lime flavours all come out of it. So you can make cordials out of it. I grind it up and put it in biscuits. traditionally Aboriginal people use it as medicines, and one of the things I used to do was if you have a sore tooth, you rub it on your gum and it'll numb it up. So it takes all the pain away. This one here is the pig face, so we all know that one. Yeah, we've seen it on the beaches, the little pink flowers and everything. Now this, you use the leaves, you just throw them in a stir fry, so they're vegetable. So steaming them, and this is actually one that we're growing now to be able to put into a fresh line. We've managed to work with a big company who's going to be, you know how you get when you go into Woolies or somewhere and they've got the basil and the mint and everything. Well, we're bringing out a line of fresh native produce very soon, so keep your eye out for that one. You can suck on it because it's full of water, so it will actually help with rehydration. But I put it in a stir fry and just heat it up a little bit. The other thing that it does is, I'm trying to find it. Where'd it go? Here. So when that flower dies off, you see that little thing? That little thing there. I'll just see if I can pull it out. You squeeze him from the bottom and you get that, and it tastes like a salted lychee. And they're quite refreshing and yummy. So next time you're on the beach and you see that little purple flower, go looking for it. It's quite red and they're quite yummy.
But this is only when the flower...
Yeah. The flower comes off and then it should be quite blobeless. And it's red. And then you squeeze him out and tastes like salted lychee. A bit like kiwi fruit. Yeah, straight from the beach. I eat it all the time, straight from the beach, yeah. But, having that at home, growing it in a cool area is good too, because the more, this is about sustaining our country, because once we have all these things growing in our own backyard, we are able to then have a better soil, because once we lose that topsoil, humans die. It's as simple as that. So if we don't start putting natives and things back into our country and sustaining the land, we're buggered. Yep. This one here is another myrtle, but it's a cinnamon myrtle. And you can see how pretty that little leaf is. And when you pull a leaf off, just have a sniff and you'll smell that. It's not cinnamon like the stick, but it has this lovely little flavour to it. I put all my myrtles, my curry, my cinnamon, my aniseed and my lemon myrtle all into a pot with garlic and ginger and oil, and then releases all the flavours, and it starts to make the base of your stock or your soups or curry bases and things like that. So you can use it in lots of ways because all that aniseed myrtle comes out. Aniseed was used for mother's milk, expressing mother's milk to bring on milk. So that was another reason why we need aniseed. We got that one. Okay. This is a little rare one here. This is a native currant, comes from South Australia. The season has just finished. So it has this these are frozen of course because I had to get them across. But the juice is just yummy. You can dehydrate the whole fruit and make a really nice spice with it as well. It's a native currant. Yeah, I'm not sure what the other name is for it, but it's really nice. I make chutneys out of it. It's great with duck. So it would have been great served up with kangaroo and emu and everything because it's gamey. It loves that gamey kind of flavours. So make chutneys out of it, like I said, cordials, dehydrate it. We're dehydrating it at the moment for spice blends. It's nice just popped into like a sweet dukkha blend with some almonds and macadamias and some coconut and some of that spiced in. It's just delish. This another one here is our desert limes. Get my eyeballs out. So desert lime, I might have to show that. Oh. I'm not very sharp with that knife.
Damn, and I left my scissors at home.
Did you? Oh.
Normally I have scissors in with me, but gotta be right.
You might be stronger. See if you can rip that across. It has a little tear line, but I can never do it. I'm weak as water. Okay.
There we go, did it.
Good on you. So these little limes, they are from Roma. So we are growing them up here in Monto. We're growing them in Roma. They grow, well, I live in Pomona and they grow in Pomona. So just have one, eat one, they're delish. I eat them whole and just, they've got hardly any seed inside them. You can glacé them, put them in a little bit of water and sugar and glacé them up. You can throw them in a chutney, put them in a jam, stuff them in a stuffing, you know, lots and lots of things. Nice with cocktails. And this one here, finger lime. So you've all had finger lime before? They are. Great with vodka. And so finger limes all come with different sizes. These are probably one of the best looking finger limes I've seen in years. Usually when I've had them in the past, they've been these tiny little things like this. So these are fantastic and they all come in different colours. I'm not sure what these are. Sometimes they can be red on the outside and red on the inside, and sometimes they're yellow. These are pink. So, well, we're working on that. Basically, at the moment, you can get them from Dreamtime Kalilla Art at Redcliffe. So Sir Joe and Michael have them, but it's alive. It just keeps moving. But what you do is I just put a few on my hand, eat them up, and they're just yummy. Take a knife and cut them more up if you want. Yeah.
I think you can get them.
Did you get some? Yep. Oh, Brisbane Markets has them. You got some? Just break them in half, girls, and have a bit of a taste. There's a knife coming around. They're really nice on oysters, prawns, you know, all your seafoody stuff. And if like I said earlier, if we can start having these in our everyday garden, in our own lives, you know, I went and invented a program after, I went to, where did I go? Italy, 2006, to do the slow food movement. And slow food is all about propagating, going back to nature, looking at traditional methods and practices, etc., across the world. And I was one of 1,000 chefs that was invited for slow back then. And the idea for this is to, when I came back, I thought, oh, I've got to give something back to my community because they helped me get there and fund me and all that. So I developed a program called Grow, Cook and Eat. And Grow, Cook and Eat is exactly that. Grow bush food, grow herbs, etc. Learn how to cook it and propagate it and process it, etc. properly, and eat it because it makes us healthy. So that's another way that I got back to sustaining, I guess, the country and what I did. And I love that program. I'd love to do another one day. I did about six of them, I suppose, over 6 years. Our students got a lot out of it because we dealt with a lot of young Aboriginal people who were unable at some stage to actually connect with culture, and this was a really good way for them to ground and connect with culture again, you know, growing their own food and having it cooked up and utilising it. And a lot of those kids now have gone on to do really great things. I've been very proud of them. I see them throughout my rest of my life now, which is great. Now, Oh, here it is, the grinding rock. So it was massive. Like this thing here, it was as big as that, but it was tall. So it would come down like that. And that's part of it there. And the women would gather all the stuff, bring it in, grind it up, and then as it dribbled its way down into the coolamon, one of these, as it dribbled its way down, it got thicker as it went because water would run one way. So it's a fantastic stone. I couldn't believe it. This is finger limes growing.
Will these finger limes grow anywhere or what?
Yeah, if you're going to get finger limes, you're better off. You could take some of those seeds and try to propagate them because they've never been frozen, these particular fruit.
I'm the world's worst gardener. I've got black fingers. I can't even grow garlic.
Oh, true. Well, I reckon the best thing is to buy one that's been grafted.
Okay.
So basically it might be a lemon citrus, so same family, but with the finger lime grafted onto it. And you usually get fruit within, 1 year, 3 years. But in saying that, I've got one this big. It's been in the ground for 10 years and I've got like 4 fruit off it. One day I went out and I don't know, but I looked at it and I went, oh gosh, I'm going to have millions, Next day they were all gone. So I don't know what happened. And then another time a big bunch of bees came and jumped on it, and I called the bee guy and said, there's a big horde of bees in my tree. And he said, oh, they'll probably be gone in the morning if they're not giving me a call. Well, they were gone, but they zapped my finger lime tree. It was just black. So I had to cut this big piece out, so they'd taken all the sap out of it and killed it practically. But yeah, it depends on your tree. They like good drainage, and which way is that way? North, south. So yeah, southeast they kind of like for some reason, and yeah, so good drainage.
Cheryl, when you made it a hybrid, did it cut down on some of the spikes on it?
No, it doesn't. No, it's still quite spiky, yeah. So when you're in the wild or not even in the wild, just looking around, and you look for citrus, there's a little look that you have to look for. Round leaf, long fruit. Finger lime. Long leaf, round fruit. Duju lime. So it's the opposite. Okay, so if you ever see that sort of thing, look at the leaf and then you'll know whether it's a finger lime or a duju lime. That little one that's gone around is a desert lime from, so it's a totally different one compared to the others. Now, this one here is another winter fruit, and I've glacéed this one. This is called a white aspen. So I've simply just popped it in a little bit of sugar and glacéed him up, and they're quite yummy. They taste like little lemony sultanas. And they're really great in slices and fruit cakes and stuff like that. It's a white aspen. So you get a lemon aspen, which is a big one, and a white aspen is tiny, but when it's a winter one, so when it comes on and you pick it, it's quite crispy like a little apple, and yummy, yummy, yummy.
Yeah, it tastes like a lemon. Lemon sultana.
Does, doesn't it?
Nice.
Yeah. And like I say, when you have all these fruits, pop them into a nice fruit cake mix, and you've got a native fruit cake for Chrissy. What else have I got here? Cut leaf mint bush. This one is a very nice one. I use it in medicine, but I also put it in yogurt. It's a cut leaf mint bush. Cut leaf mint bush. It's got the Latin name there, but I don't know how to pronounce it. And this one here is quite good. I really like it. It comes as a distilled oil as well. So your lemon myrtle, aniseed myrtle, your cut mint leaf bush all comes in a distilled oil. And when you get an oil, you only put one little drop in an eye drop from the eyedropper, and it'll help in maybe 200 mils of milk or oil or wine or beer batter or whatever you want to put it in. And you only just do a little bit at a time. I put quite a lot now because I'm used to it, but if you're not used to it, you're better off going a little bit, you know, so it's tastes nice. I'm going to pass around, since you've all eaten now, I'll pass around, this is something we did a few years ago, and it's an Australian native flavour wheel. So it'll have there, like, where is it? It will have all the different tastes of different things, and on the back you'll see there. So there's 2 lots of Davidson plums. You know Davidson plums? So one's a Jerseyana and one is a Perennias. So the Jerseyana tastes more like beetroot, whereas the Perennias is more like a Rosella or a rhubarb, so you can taste the difference. I'll pass those around so you can take those home. So next time you're out and about, you can start checking what the flavours are and matching them up. The other thing that we're growing is, this is that saltbush that you're talking about, Judy, I think. The saltbush, is that the one? Yeah. So saltbush, this is old man saltbush. So it comes fresh, it'll come as a leaf, it'll come dried, it'll come ground. And I use it just like salt. In the old days it would have been put up the cavity of the emu or the roo or whatever, and all those flavours would have just gone through into the cup murray or on the fire. This is a dried finger lime, so people these days are actually, to get another view of longevity out of it and sustaining it, I suppose, for the future, is they dehydrate it and then grind it up, and it's very much like citric acid. So I've actually put it into jams and things like that, just so you get that little bit more of a bite and stuff. It's very, you can have a taste of it if you're game.
No, I'm not game.
Lemongrass. So did you know we had a native lemongrass? It's beautiful. It's just like normal lemongrass. You get it ground, but it actually, I've got a picture of him here. When I was up in Uluru, I was lucky enough to go on a private bush tucker tour with one of the locals, and I thought, oh, what's he looking at? He's getting me a bit of grass there to chew on. Then when he gave it to me, I went, oh, it's lemongrass. And he said, yeah. So it was great going up there because I usually get the product when it's dried rather than seeing it growing and seeing it fresh, you know. So it just looks like grass, but when you pick it out, and you get it in lots of different ways. You can get it cut up and put it into your stocks and your stews. You can put it into stuffing. You use it just like lemongrass, basically. And that's it there as a dried leaf, whole leaf. And this one's ground saltbush. So if you want to open it up and have a taste of what saltbush tastes like, do. When we go out to look at harvesting, when you go on to country, you have to seek permission, basically. So some people, there's homelands. So have you heard of homelands? Homelands are where there are remote area communities. And I think the government was trying to close down a lot of remote area communities, homelands. And one of the uncles had called a friend of ours, our CEO, and said, they're trying to get in. We're going to lock the place down. We're going to, says Uncle. And Paul said, oh, no, Uncle, I think you better not do that because they'll have the, police out and the army will come in and all these sorts of things. So what happens is on homelands, the government actually are funding them, right? So they give money to the different homelands to develop things and do things. So what our organisation is trying to do is to say, well, okay, you need to look at what you've got on your land, like lemon myrtle, like bush tomatoes, like wattle seed, you know, all of the stuff that grows there now, and you form your own social enterprise. So basically that's what Red Centre, our company, Red Centre Enterprises is called, is trying to do. What we're trying to do is go to community and say, okay, you go out and harvest all that wattle seed, we will buy that wattle seed from you, and then what you do with your money is your business. So they can have infrastructure put in. So the government they wanted to close down all these communities because they didn't want to give them a telephone system. They didn't want to give them toilets. They didn't want to clean up the roads and collect the rubbish. So if they're able to actually be capable of doing their own small enterprise, bringing monies into their own communities, economic base, sustaining, training, etc., then they can spend the money whichever way they like, yeah? Because they don't want houses like you and me live in. I live in an old Queenslander. They don't want that. They want this kind of situation where they come together, cook communal meals, have big verandas and stuff around their house because it's hot, believe it or not. It's hot in all these places. So they need lots of ventilation through. They don't need to have 5 bedrooms or 3 bedroom houses. You know, they don't want that. So if we can help them to become economically sustainable for the future, then they are able to spend their money in the way that they wish to spend it, yeah? At the moment, Q-Bill, the government comes in and says, oh, you're going to follow this direction, you're going to build this house the way we want you to. So, you know, it makes good sense just to help them build up what they've got in their community and support them that way. So we must seek permission from landowners, which is LORE, law, Aboriginal law, and then we need to make land usage agreements, which is LAW. So we Aboriginal people tend to have to walk on both sides. So we've got LOR and we've got LAW that we have to respect, yeah? We have to respect their harvesting practices and things like that, because if they say, no, you can't come in this time round, or no, we're not going and harvesting, or we're not going to go and hunt, we're not going to do that, then we have to respect that, because the reason is because they've been looking after that country for centuries, and they know when the indicators are out there, when there's going to be a good crop, when there's not going to be, yeah? So on homelands, they only want us to go out and do 3 years and then leave it alone for a while to let it regenerate. Like I said before, you don't take everything from the tree. One of the things with respecting the land is an example, which is the kangaroo industry. So today we, you know, the law is, LAW and LORE, is that when you take the shot, it's 1 shot, 1 kill. That's the way it should be done, and there are really good marksmen out there and good harvesters who can do that, yeah? And then what you have to do is when you gutting, you have to actually take the innings, the intestines, and you give it back to country. And that's what the old people have signed off on. So when they know that spirit of that animal has gone back into country, back on land, and that's just how it's done, yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah?
And is it for every kangaroo meat that we buy in the supermarket?
Yes. I've been out to...
farms or anything?
No, they're all wild harvested, because kangaroo can jump long up, and if they can't go across different country, they don't survive. And the thing with the kangaroo is that there's one on the ground, the bigger joey, there's one in the pouch, and there's one ready to come back down into the pouch. And they control how that happens. So when there's drought, they will stop production because they know that their baby is not going to survive. So have you ever seen a tiny baby kangaroo? It's about yay long, and it crawls. Yeah, it crawls out and then into the pouch, and then she suckles on. So you can have, like, I know this because I used to go hunting kangaroo all the time. So my dad taught me how to do all that. I think I was 10 when I skinned my first kangaroo and did all that sort of stuff. And you always, whenever you stop, there's a man in Northern Territory, and he has made this law for him, and he's put a sanctuary together. So whenever you see roadkill, kangaroo, being hit by a truck or something, he jumps out, he goes in, and he gets that. Sometimes there's babies still in the pouch. So you have to go and grab that, and you take it to him, and he looks after them. And Aboriginal people come from everywhere to give him those kangaroos because they can still suckle and live for 2 or 3 days in the pouch after mum's been hit. Yeah.
Is he out past Alice Springs or Catherine?
Yes. Yeah. He's called the kangaroo. He was on the TV the other night. Yeah, did you see it?
Is his name? I don't know his
No.
white man's name.
No.
But he goes by the name Brolga.
Yes, that's him.
There's a series
Yes.
on Fox
Yes.
that.
Yep. He's very famous overseas. He's a white fella, but he's just done that all his life. He's always passionate about the kangaroo and how it needs to survive. But you know, he's like most of us. Like I grew up on kangaroo. Emu I can't eat because it's my totem, so I'm not allowed to have emu. But my dad, when he was alive, he gave me permission to taste it, so I'd cook it and make sure it tasted all right, but I didn't sit down to a big feed of it. When you see the blue on his throat, that's a male emu, and it's the male who looks after the emu. And this here is a emu hide. So it's beautiful and soft, this leather, but there's his head up here where my finger is, and his big neck, and he's all leg. And the beautiful dapples on there. And this here, this is his foot. So normally he'd have 3 toes. I've had this for 15 years, and over the years all the little kiddies have all pulled his toes off. So he should have one there, the big one in the middle, and one here. So he's a bit disabled, this fella. There you go. But it's a beautiful leather, and the leathers are used for all sorts of things, yeah. We're getting close to the end. I got 5 minutes. Any questions? As you can see, I love talking about bush tucker, and it's just one of those things that I'm really passionate about. I guess as I get to go around Australia and sit in the red dirt with traditional owners and things like that, it's been a real privilege to actually sit there and have them yarn to you, you know, and to teach me lots of things, because I've only just, you know, I'm only teaching you a little bit about what the rest of them know. All Aboriginal people know a lot more.
Do you know of any bush tucker from the Brisbane region?
Yeah, we've got, around here we've got lily pillies, and you've got your Davidson plum grows here. The Warangal Greens all grows here. Your medium grows here. Have we seen any medium? That's all those reeds down there. They're weaving plants. So those ones over there, you pull the grass out, pull the roots out, and dry it out, strip it, dye it, and weave. So you can make things like dillies out of it. So lamandra grasses.
Is it not stringy like this?
You have to make the string. So once you've pulled that out and you've stripped it into long thins, you then have to roll it on your leg, and it forms into a string. And then you can dye it if you want to, or you can then start to weave it up. Yeah.
I only ask because I crochet and
Oh, do you? Yeah.
Trying to find different
Yep.
idioms to use.
Yep.
is always interesting.
Yes. Well, possum does that too. Possum fur. You can weave possum fur and get it, spin it. Yeah, which is very nice.
Yes.
I'm a possum on my grandmother's side and an emu on my grandfather's side, so I can't eat emu or possum. But I have made possum rillette, which is like a pate for the French when I went over there in 2004, I think it was. Yeah. I'll get you to open that again because you've got strong fingers. These are rye berries that have been coated in Belgian chocolate, just for something different. So this is a new thing that's been on the market lately. It's not one of mine, but I just love it. I buy it by the kilo. And when you bite, you'll taste, isn't it different? It's like little cinnamony clove kind of flavour and a bit of a tang, I find it. And it's effervescent-y a bit, isn't it? It's quite yummy. But yeah, there's lots of bush tucker around this area. If you go to, now, where is it? Cleveland, out there, they've got, I think it's called Indigiscapes, out that way. Then you've got all your land care spaces around here. Where was that one? Harmon. Yeah. So there's lots of places. Over at the university, we've put in a bush tucker garden over there. So you'll find everywhere. It's really, I got a little book. If you look at a book called the Bush Tucker Man book, it's a very good little book. And you just throw them in your backpack, and I just take it with me everywhere, and I'll identify lots of different species, lots of different things. It's quite a good one.
Have just recently put a bush tucker book up on their website
Okay.
that you can buy, and it's for southeast Queensland.
Okay.
But their house specific is to the coast.
Yep. So is that the Jugendbeer one down in Goldie? Yeah,
Gold
Beenleigh.
Coast Way, but
Yeah.
their website is
Okay.
online. You can get the book.
Because they've got a museum. Is Jugendbeer Museum? Yeah. So there we go. They've got one. Jugendbeer.
Yeah, so it's Yugenbah.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah. If you just Google that.
We just drew pictures. We didn't write. So, and also, like I was saying, Aboriginal culture and history is all about storytelling and pictures. You know, there wasn't words. You know, it was all about learning and passing on that information. And what I've found too is when you go out country, Aboriginal people, the traditional owners, they really just want to keep passing on that knowledge to their young people and keeping that alive. They don't necessarily want to make chocolate-coated rye berries, you know, or jams. And come over and have a taste of those when you're ready, my sauces. But yeah, you know, they're into passing on their culture in traditional and remote areas. And it's beautiful country when you go out there, if you've had the, you know, privilege to go. It's gorgeous. Lots of this one here too. Come and have a sniff of that one. This is Gumby Gumby. I don't know whether you've heard of Gumby Gumby, but it's you get the leaf. You can use this as well, and it's for cancer. Basically, it doesn't fit all cancer. It's not good for all cancers, but it is good for a majority of them. That's the seed and the leaf and the husk. You can actually, the old people swear by this one too, is you grind it up and you put it in your tonic. So it's two tablespoons of leaf, 2 litres of water, and 20 minutes boiling it up, and then strain it, put it into a glass bottle, leave it in the fridge, 30 mils a day. My dad used to say to me, "Oh, I feel like a young buck." So, you know, it's high in magnesium. It's really, really good stuff, yeah. And a lot of people swear by it.
You know how we had that Brisbane flu going around recently? Yeah, some of my old people sent down capsules of that in it and told us to take it. And it actually helped, like, with some of my womanly troubles as well. So it's got a lot of really good uses, I think.
Yeah. We're doing studies on it over at St Lucia at the minute and putting it on certain cancer cells, and it is reacting, the little blue and yellow dots and all the pretties that happen. But yeah, there's lots of work being done on the gumby at the minute because it's actually been patented by a German company, and but it's an easy one to toss out the window because it's looking at ethanol, methanol and water at 80 degrees. So all you have to do is change a bit of the thing, and they can't do anything about it. So yeah, and also a lot of our plants need companion plants. So for Gumby 2 needs another plant beside it. It's like Quandong. Quandong's got when it grows, it puts its feeler out and goes towards probably something like a wattle, and symbiotic, is that the right word? Symbiosis. So yeah, they need that extra one to make it flower and fruit and do whatever it's got to do.
Have they got like parasite?
Yeah, parasite roots, yeah. It's all very technical, and sometimes you have to use particular, like when you go on our country too, they say, oh well, if you take the leaves from that plant and you mulch it up and you put it around the fertiliser, it will help. So it keeps other things at bay. But see, we don't all know this, and that's what our Red Centre organisation is trying to do, is to gather all that knowledge and try to pass it on throughout the rest of the country. Yeah.
Sorry, what was the companion plant for the Gumby?
It's another Gumby, I forget how to say it, but it's another Gumby, but that we call, in language we say gammon one, so it's not a real one. So yeah, you just got to work out which one's which. There's a really big wide flat leafed one as well, and that is generally heated in oil for aches and pains. So yeah, but still a lot more work to be done.
Two different varieties of Gumby that's growing together? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And one feeds off the other. So one is stronger than the other. Yeah, with medicine. Yeah. So I'll finish up. And no more questions? All good? Yeah. Yeah, we grow it in every state and territory, so we're working with different communities. So they might be homeland communities, or they might be someone down the road here. It might be a landowner. So if you're a landowner and you want us to help you develop up your land, what we do is come on and we give you the plants. So we will propagate the seed, and we'll give you all the knowledge and technology, etc., to grow the plant. And then as long as we have a land agreement with you, and we come back to get it.
Even on suburban?
Are there places to buy the seeds or to grow yourself?
There's Warangal Greens you can get online. You can buy hundreds of them online for the Warangal. When it comes to stuff like this one, no, because our elders have only told us that you can have that, but as long as it's only given back to us, so back to the organisation. So there's Witchetty Grub Bush Food Nursery if you're looking for plants. They have lots of really good ones. Up at Yandina at the markets, they have great plants there too, native plants. Not a lot of seed though. I have a few kilos of this, but I have to go and do land agreements with people and material use agreements, so that when it comes up, when they grow it, we actually have first bite of the cherry. Yeah.
When are the Indigenous markets on, Dale?
Every Saturday? Yeah, every Saturday.
Best plant market.
Yeah. It's a good market.
Indigiscape's also.
Yeah, Indigiscape's a good one. Did a lot of work there, yeah. But you'll find everywhere there's bush food. You just got to look for it, really. And I'm terrible. As soon as I go somewhere, I go, oh, where's the food? Where's the food? And start looking for all these plants and which one's which, you know. There's beautiful things like Miller plant. Miller has this gorgeous little red berry on it, and you just eat it, throw the seed down, help it to propagate. So, yeah, I'll let you go.
Was there any more questions?
Dale, did you say you're getting a cookbook?
Yes, got a cookbook coming out hopefully in November. I've just got to take a week. It's almost off the computer. So now it's just collating it a bit more. Yeah. So that'll be good because it's a cookbook that can be used by you. You know, so I've got so many cookbooks that look very pretty and they sit there collecting dust because I have to be, you know, I have to have all these different gadgets to produce a product. So yeah, this is a book where you can actually have access to the product line. That's another reason for working across Australia with different ingredients so that we can actually give it to you. Yeah.
Excellent.
Thanks for asking, Donna.
Writing that on
It's called Kui Cuisine. Kui Cuisine. Yeah.
So all of your details are on those business
Yeah.
cards that just went around, so they'll be able to get on your website and
Yep,
check
you can
it
go on the website and check it out.
Okay, well, once again, thank you very much for coming tonight, everyone. It means a lot to have you all here in our space. Please jump on the website and check out the rest of the conversations that will come. We always have different series, so this one is around sustainability in a few different ways. And yeah, we hope that you bring some friends back to the next one and see your faces again soon. Thank you.
Cool.